There was something in the book that really spoke to me. When I get into my next relationship, how am I always going to make sure to not diminish myself in order to make someone else feel whole?
I think boundaries and being really, really honest. I think also, like, again, maybe this is a child actor thing, maybe it's not. There's a lot of habits of people pleasing. And there's a lot of habits of, like, when you love people, it's hard to tell them no. And it's hard to tell them when they're showing bad behavior because you love them and you know they're a good person, but they're not showing up as a good person, right? Now, I've always been the kind of person that's like, I believe the good in people. And it's like, well, just because I believe the good in you, it doesn't mean that you believe the good in yourself. So then what am I then left with? Now, I'm the person that's got to make the tough decision to leave you behind. And I think when you leave people behind, sometimes they stay behind. But the really, really beautiful thing when you make boundaries with the people that you love is you give them a chance to show up for you instead of you always showing up for them. And so I learned a really hard lesson in the last few years of leaving people behind. And, you know, sometimes they stayed behind. And then other times they showed up. And so that's why I feel the same way that you do, is that I tell things, I share stuff as much as I can that also I'm comfortable with, because I know somebody else is going through the same thing. Somewhere, somebody want to know they're hurt, and that's what artistry did for me. You know, the first thing I say in the book is I never really wanted to be a performer, but I knew I wanted to make people feel things. That's what I meant. As a performer, when I'm on stage or when I'm doing a character in a movie or a TV show, or I know that I'm showcasing something that somebody's going to connect to, that somebody is going to feel, because that's what films and TV shows did for me. When they represented me and what I was going through, I felt heard, I felt seen, and I felt so much less alone.
And, you know, it's interesting because I feel like both of our parents heard how passionate we were about what it is we wanted to do and then actually supported that journey.
Yes.
But then they end up getting swept up in it too.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're in this family industry. You're supposed to have the parent-child dynamic,
Yep.
but you're working, your parents are there, you're being treated like an adult.
That's right.
Because you have adult responsibilities.
That's right.
But you're still a child.
It's overwhelming. Something happens that overwhelms you and you don't know how to process it. That's what something is traumatizing, whether it's to the body or whether it's to the mind or the heart. And when you become a celebrity child, when you make more money than your parents, it's traumatizing. When other people tell you that your parents are worthless because you're making all the money, it's traumatizing. Growing up in a small town where my parents made $40,000 a year, and then I'm making that a movie, and people are judging my parents, and these people gave up everything for me to be who I am today. It has taken so much for me to get to the point of saying, you don't get to tell my story, and you don't get to tell their story. The truth is, my family drove 4 days and 3 nights to help their daughter pursue her dream, and she became a generational talent. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. That's the story. And so, you know, that's the story. You get to tell your own story. And for so long, people try to erase you, erase what it means to be you, what you went through, what it was for, your intentionality behind it. And that's why the cover of my book is this way. I'm not a damn puppet. I'm the master. I know what's going on. You know, I'm not an innocent bystander. I'm a part of this. I'm engaged with this, you know?
And I will say, what I humbly learned was that I wished I was enough for myself. I wished I had figured things out sooner. But boy, is it my kids that changed everything. And that's what it seems like for you and Leo.
My son.
Like, that's where the healing begins.
Yes, that's the realest, truest love that I could ever know. It's the realest, truest love that I could ever know. And there's so much that's unspoken that is felt between us. My son, literally, guys, I dedicated the book to him because the person that I became, I never knew I could be.
Well, and you wonder, when will I get the chance to truly be also in a position of creating a path rather than being on the one that I've been on all these years. And as we all go on our universal journeys to figure out how we navigate life and the world in our beautiful own little journeys. This book, Master of Me, is a true, delightful read, but also an amazing guidebook to how we get there. How do we become the masters of ourselves? Well, Keke figured it out, and she has it in the book, and the work continues. So Master of Me is out everywhere now.
Thank you guys so much.
And it is just, I've been so looking forward to this conversation.
I just love you so much.
I love you too. And it's like, it's so empowered. We'll be right back.
Give me